Hey, it is the Mosley Show. Welcome in. It's going to be a wild one. It's going to be fast. We've got lots of things happening in the SEC. We have some things happening in the Big 12. In fact, we'll at 1:30, we're going to have Nick Harris from the Star-Telegram, and he'll kind of shed some more light on this very interesting thing that has happened today. It has come to light that the TCU Horned Frogs have pulled the credential of the Star-Telegram. That's Fort Worth Star-Telegram. That's the that's the only publication that travels everywhere, travels to every game to be with TCU, covers everything. They have pulled the credential of the beat writer for his coverage of a locker room fight, and the victim in this fight. They're saying that the Star-Telegram, that person has ended up getting a lot of threats because of the Star-Telegram's reporting. Well, turns out Star-Telegram reported the attack in the locker room, the alleged assault that occurred. The player, who was a starting player, by the way, who delivered the blow, and if you read this story, it sounds like a total sucker punch. That player is no longer with the program. All right, so that player has been kicked off the team. All right, the player who remains, the victim, came out 2 or 3 days later, and that player and his dad, I've seen the video. They put out a video talking about how the player was attacked. And so I don't really see what the Star-Telegram has done wrong, but they've been banned. They've had their credential pulled. We'll see where this goes. What'll happen is the media now will beat up on TCU because the media does not like one of its own having its credential pulled, nor should we. I mean, I've heard nothing to suggest that this is the proper thing. Now, if you somehow present something to me that this reporter did something unseemly or did something in the wrong or something like that, then listen, I'll hear all that. But what it sounds like is the reporter, they called the police on this. The day after this attack happened in the TCU locker room, they called the police in. They filed a police report. All right. And then it really becomes up to the victim whether or not they want to file charges, all that kind of stuff. But now TCU's getting ready to play Saturday in Ireland. Kevin, that kickoff, I think we decided was maybe at 11 a.m., but TCU has a big distraction going into that game. Now, UNC needs about 10 more distractions to try to win this game, okay? We don't have much faith in Bill Belichick or that team, but this is the story that is breaking today. And again, the guy who put this out on earlier today is going to join us at 1:30. All right, and that is none other than our own Nick Harris, who does a really nice job covering the Cowboys for the Star-Telegram. Now, let me see what this tweet. Okay, here it is. Kev, Nick said earlier today. This is at about 11:25 this morning, so coming up on about 2 hours ago. He said that TCU banned Star-Telegram and pulled credentials over reporting of a locker room assault that resulted in a case filing by TCU campus police. Stephen Johnson, that is the beat writer for TCU for the Star-Telegram, has been told the decision stemmed from the victim receiving threats after the reporting. But Stephen never identified the victim until the victim made a public statement on his Instagram about the assault 3 days after his initial reporting. Now, could that, I'm sure players and people within the organization knew who it was, who knew who the victim was, because some of them were probably in the locker room when it happened. Well, that doesn't mean because Steven Johnson reported it that there was an incident that, oh my gosh, he's revealed the truth of who the victim is. It's likely every single player on that team knew who the victim was. All right, Steven's trip to Ireland this weekend for TCU's game against North Carolina is still on, despite TCU pulling his credential for the game. Star-Telegram is the only full-time outlet covering TCU athletics. Goodness gracious. I mean, this is really interesting stuff that we're seeing going down right now. And I say support your local publications. In fact, as I was talking and discussing this story, I noticed that my account was hit for for my morning news subscription. All right, so there you go. Wow, very interesting. That was looks like the morning news hit me for my account right there. So very, very interesting things going on as we speak, as this goes down with TCU, and we will monitor the story. And again, coming up in about 10 minutes, Nick Harris, who broke this story of the Star-Telegram getting its credential pulled by TCU, will be joining us. So we'll have the latest on that specific story. So very, very interesting things going on as we speak. All right. And I do want to also say that we've got other I said in my tease on Twitter, the crackdown on LSU coaches. Well, men's basketball and Lane Kiffin. I mean, if you've seen this news coming out today, man, this is in the 16-0 vote in the SEC, which was to not allow people that have already, are already in the NFL to come back. Man, I mean, this is talking about the NFL players that were trying to go back to college because of those rulings. In fact, one of those rulings coming out of the state of Louisiana, even LSU AD and president voted that this shouldn't happen. So they're voting against their own coaches. Now, here's the latest from the SEC. Schools that violate the SEC's professional sports rule will result in 50% season suspension for head coaches, 50% of that sport's annual operating budget, SEC voting privileges on business matters revoked. So basically, not only are we saying you can't do this, but here are the penalties if you go ahead and try to go through with this. So now, could these players that were going back to LSU, well, they were from Ole Miss, and they're transferring to LSU. Could they potentially sue the conference? Yes, they could. Yes, they could. Will they? Now what will they do? Will they try to go back to the NFL? Boy, this is wild. Showing. Now, meanwhile, why did SEC go this far? Well, listen, the good old Big Ten kind of forced their hand. Big Ten came out, voted against it, said we're going to have rules against it. It's not going to happen. We're not going to allow it. This forced the SEC to go a step further than just a statement. and then try to put some teeth into what their rule is. Again, meanwhile, LSU, Will Wade's out there. This affects his roster. This affects Lane Kiffin's roster, and it was a 16-0 vote. This was not LSU saying, no, we got to take up for our coaches. No, the president and the AD at LSU said, to hell with you. We vote with our comrades. Speaking of that, comrade, I've got some, at some point today, Kevin, when we do Campus Confidential, remind me, I'd like to kind of, I find some very interesting things that are coming out of this story we had of the LSU having a Russian, 17-year-old Russian that they brought in on campus, and then having their Ukrainian player whose father is in the war leave. All right. And that's been an interesting story. I find it very interesting who is representing the Ukrainian player who just left LSU. Now, that's an interesting story. I'm looking into that more as we speak, but it would appear that Boris Karabin, Karebin, the agent, and he's been an agent for the Timberwolves and everything, but he is Russian. So the player from Ukraine that just left LSU because they brought in a Russian player, it appears she may be represented by a Russian agent. My goodness, this is interesting. Kevin, I mean, this is like a spy novel, a double agent. He's an agent for the excellent Ukrainian player who wants to leave because they've brought in a Russian player at LSU, but her agent, the Ukrainian Kate, what's her last name, Kevin? It's not coming to me. Like Kava, something like that. Kavel. Anyway, she's leaving. She may be represented by a Russian.
Are you sure this isn't Tom? Are you sure this isn't Tom Clancy doing a sports novel?
Like, I don't think Clancy's alive anymore, Kev. But he does have somebody that still they somehow write novel or they write the books in his in his name.
Him and Notorious B.I.G. still going.
Don't forget Tupac.
Yep.
All right.
Waylon Jennings also has something coming out. Yeah.
Now his son, he's got a son that still plays. I think Shooter Jennings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're saying Waylon, they're going to put something.
They're doing some post.
Well, with AI, AI, they can do anything these days. Yeah. They had a few years ago, Sikkim had me, and they had like Deion Sanders and I. Me getting into a fight after a deal, but half everybody thought it was real. Oh, I can't believe, Mosley, you got into it with Deion Sanders. Had everybody coming up to me. It was just Ashley Hodge, goofing around with AI. Scary. It's so scary. And it sounded just like me, by the way, because you know why? It's AI. They can just put some of my voice into an algorithm or whatever, and then make it say whatever they want it to say. All right. And then next thing you know, Deion and I are in a big battle. By the way, it's not too far off. Deion and I have butted heads in the past. So there's a lot going on today, man. In fact, there's so much I was gathering. It was, I like this. I like this meme, Kevin. This is funny. This is from the official Ohio State DG. I think this is like a parody type account or whatever, but it says Greg Sankey looking at the Big Ten, and it's like they've got him in a classroom, and it's a guy like cheating off the guy next to him. It's a good one. It's a good meme. All right, Kevin, you're a big Ten guy, so I'm going to send this your way. It's kind of funny. All right, Kev. We do have a major guest coming up at 1:30 who's going to shed light on a lot of this. Nick Harris from the Star-Telegram joins us next.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Never deposit someone else's money into your bank account. Scammers will send you money or overpay you and then ask you to refund a portion of the money back to them. This is a scam.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Summer isn't over yet. Make every last splash count at Waco Surf. Catch perfect waves, float the lazy river, or relax on the beach while the kids make unforgettable memories. Stay in their hotel or private cabins, or hook up with your RV. Located just 90 miles from Dallas and Austin, set on 450 acres in the heart of Texas, Waco Surf is unlike any other water park around. Before school starts, give your family one more epic adventure. WacoSurf.com. Book your stay today and catch a wave.
Westfest, presented by West Feeds, this Labor Day weekend. Randy Rogers Band, live at the Saturday Night Showcase. With special guests, Brave Cunnabo and the Dreadnoughts. Westfest, just 15 minutes north of Waco.
David Willey here. I got a question for you. How do you know what kind of deal you're getting on your copier? If you really want to know, give me a call and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. CTWP, your only local copier company.
Score big on your next ride during the Kickoff of Savings event at Richard Car. 2027 GMC Sierra trucks are coming, so all 2026 models are marked with game-winning savings at Richard Car. Find savings like $10,000 off a 2026 GMC Sierra SLE truck. Plus, well-qualified buyers get 2.9% financing for 72 months. Find championship savings and win on your next deal at their Kickoff of Savings event at Richard Car.
Richard Car, they have the truck for you.
You asked, we delivered. The new Butterfly iQ3. It's the answer in point-of-care ultrasound. With the sharpest image for easier, clear answers. Ready?
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
It is the Mosley Show, and he's with us now. He's been in the green room. He's been waiting. He played some golf out in Oxnard or out in Ojai Valley. He's made his way back to the Metroplex. He is Nick Harris of the Star-Telegram.
How we doing, Matt?
In all his glory.
How we doing?
I'm good. How was it to watch the Cowboys last night? A nice crowd out there. They almost feels like, Nick, the conquering heroes. They've made it back. People still talking about the joint practice with the Rams. The fallout continues. But it looked like a good, hearty crowd out there, and looked like everybody had a nice time. And what happens is that these things, there'll be a specific play or something that really stands out. And I was taken aback with Caleb Downs. I like that punt. I like the celebration of a interception. I like the build up to it. It was just a funny kind of athletic little move that he made, and he punted the ball. Now, can you tell me, did the punt, like, how far did that go? Was that like a 50-yard punt after he made that interception in the end zone?
He got some good hang time on it. It probably went 35, 40 yards. I don't think he's, challenging Brian Anger anytime soon, but it was an athletic move.
Yeah. And what was the energy like out there? I think some of you guys were describing that as like, maybe even a little bigger crowd than usual when they return and they open up a couple of those practices to the local fans. Was there did there seem a little more energy in there even than normal, or are we reading too much into things?
I think attendance-wise, it was probably about the same. But if you're talking energy-wise, you do feel a bit more from the fan base this year than you did at this point last year. And I think that just speaks to the offseason moves they've made, how things have gone in camp, knock on wood, how healthy they've been through this part in camp as well. And the fan base certainly feels that.
All right, and Jayshawn Barham speaks. Is that pretty rare? Is he I remember that story of him coming out of Michigan. He wasn't a guy that liked to do too many interviews, and he does kind of have a bit of a scowl, when he's talking and everything. To me, he seems like kind of an interesting guy. Yeah. But I would say this, coming off that preseason game, I mean, I think if we're talking about breakout players other than maybe Joe Milton, whoa, that Barham tape from the other night and just kind of watching that and watching him kind of, come in there and make plays in the run game. I would say it's been a good past week or so for him. Nick, does that extend even back into the training camp? You just returned from Oxnard, like where, and I guess he's had that injury, that groin injury that he had to overcome. But like of all the rookies, maybe other than Downs, is Barham the guy that's made the biggest impression on you?
Yeah, easily so. And from the start of camp, they had him working with the ones, whether it be at the Mike spot or at the Will spot. They've trusted him with a lot of those off-ball responsibilities. But you've also seen him rush off the edge a little bit. It's not what you're going to see the majority of the time. You are going to see him off-ball whenever he is on the field. But, before that groin injury, I had wrote that I think that he's going to have a pretty significant role in this defense. I don't think he's necessarily going to be a starter, but I think he's going to have a big role. And then the injury slowed him down just a bit just because he was out for a week. And then he came back, only had one practice before going out there in the Cardinals game. And we saw what that film looked like you mentioned, Matt. And yeah, the Cowboys really feel like they have something special in Jayshawn Barham. Regular season will determine a lot, but from the returns that they've gotten from their third-round pick so far, it's been pretty encouraging. And he handled the Mike responsibilities in that game against the Cardinals on Saturday. So, maybe they do have their backup Mike or a 1B option as a Mike whenever they do roll into week one.
Okay, so doesn't always want to do interviews, but okay on the mic during the game. Is that right?
Actually, he finally did do his first interview since camp started last night, and he was great. He was great, and it's been a little bit like pulling teeth trying to get him in front of the camera, but he finally did it, and he was fantastic. So I don't imagine we're going to get a lot of Jayshawn Barham quotes as time goes on.
Is there of the new folks that have come in and some of the players they've added, including Gary? Who's your kind of the new quote of camp? Who is your of the rookie? Is there anybody that you really have found yourself gravitating toward of some of the newer players?
You're talking about from a quote standpoint, right? I would probably have to go with Rashawn Gary. That would probably be the guy. He's just been around the league a little bit. He'll drop some wisdom on you every once in a while. Nothing earth shattering, but he's had some good quotes so far. And Caleb Downs has been good too. He's super wise. I think he understands the game, but he also understands the mental aspect of the game too. And he's thrown some quotes at us that have been pretty good.
Did you get to see any of the young Yarish's, Tommy Yarish, some of his work the other night on the sideline? Did you go back and analyze some of his work at all and take a peek?
I am the self-proclaimed president of the Tommy Yarish fan club, and I was crushed because as I was trying to get the stream to work in Phoenix from the press box on Saturday night, apparently we were blacked out because we were in Phoenix and we had to watch the Phoenix broadcast, and I can't find it anywhere. So if anyone has a recording of it, I got to see my boy in action. I heard he was great though. Nothing but positive reviews on social media and from the rest of the guys who were watching it back home. But yeah, shout out to Tommy. He's the man.
One thing he did great but this is not a thing on him. They linger with the camera. He'll finish the interview and he's doing everything he's supposed to do, and because he's sitting there until they tell him to clear. Yeah. But Channel 11 or Cowboys TV, whatever we call it, they have this thing that they like to do where they just kind of let the thing linger for a while, and then they wait. And it does seem like Yarish has a good relationship with the players because they all kind of give him they always want to give him the hug. They want to give him like the little half hug, but he was being very professional. But it's just like I'm going to say it to Bill Jones. I'm like, don't keep the camera on him like for 10 seconds after the interview. That's a weird thing to do because he just has to sit there like this, just staring. But I actually did think he did that's got to be a little bit nerve wracking and a little scary if you haven't done that much.
Can I blow your mind, Matt?
Yeah.
He's 22 years old. Does that blow your mind? That's incredible.
Yeah, I was worried. Yeah, last time I was out in Oxnard, I think he was with us out there at the what's that bar, the famous bar out there?
Room.
The Rudder Room. And I remember thinking, I don't think I should be buying this guy a drink. I don't know if he's 21. So anyway, he did a very nice job. And I don't know if this is they've had different somebody every week. So I don't know if they're going to run somebody else in or maybe Yarish will get to go for one more week as the Cowboys close down the preseason. By the way, what is on Friday, this last preseason game, like historically, the final preseason game really doesn't mean, not that any of them mean that much, but certainly the guys trying to make the roster. And, with what Brown has done in the preseason games has been huge. And now he seems to be one of those fringe roster guys. How many true battles are you still watching this week as they get ready for a cut down here soon to go all the way down to, and again, now they have bigger practice squads. And so it's a little bit different how we view these things. But as you do your projections, where are the battles still happening? Is there still a little bit of a battle at wide receiver, and there are still some guys maybe in that secondary that are battling for those final spots?
Yeah, I would say there's probably 3 to 4 spots up for grabs going into this last game. I'll start on the offensive side, the offensive line. Do you take Drew Shelton and Nate Thomas? And if you do, you don't really have room for another additional tackle, but is there a lot of confidence in those two guys? I don't know if the answer is yes, and that's been really tough to watch in the preseason. And so are you factoring in potentially a veteran option on the offensive line? It's something you have to factor in. And if not, then you're looking at, an extra interior body. Is it a guy like Trevor Keegan? Does he make the cut? And, he hasn't been perfect in the preseason either. Johnny Cornelius is another name. At the receiver spot, the question is if they are going to take 5 or 6. If they take 6, then I think Camden Brown's on the team. If they take 5, then I think it's Jonathan Mingo that gets that 5th spot, and Brown is on the outside looking in. At the cornerback spot, you have the top 3 in Deron Bland, Kobe Durant, and Savone Revel. After that, it's a couple of question marks. Devin Moore, I'm pretty sure, makes this team, the 4th-round pick out of Florida, just because he is the rookie. He is a top 4-round pick. After that, is it Darion Kendrick? Is it Kalen Carson? Is it a veteran addition? I think that 5th spot could be up for grabs going into this last game. And then I'll look at the safety spot as well. Julius Wood, does he potentially have an opportunity to crack this team? And then at the edge spot, Sam Williams and Maris Leofau, I think, are competing for 1 spot. I think James Houston is also in that mix, but I think he's more on the safer side of things, although he is pretty duplicate with what they already have in the room with Von Miller, Rashawn Gary, Malachi Lawrence. But I think he's justified enough from his production last year to be on the team.
Are you buying, is Jerry still out there when he's not talking about HEB? Is he still, by the way, what'd you think of that HEB ad? We had the hip hop, we had some country. It looked like some of my kicker dancing at Baylor. We'd go out to Melody Ranch and do the pretzel, some things like that. Those were some good times there. And then they had the Cowboys cheerleaders involved in that. I mean, it's an odd thing because when I go to HEB, I don't really think of dancing. Like none of that stuff really to me translated to like buying my groceries, but whatever. What'd you think of that? The HEB presentation. That seemed like a pretty big deal out there.
You know, I grew up watching Jason Witten and Albertsons commercials, and so now I guess we're going to have to get used to seeing George Pickens and HEB commercials. That was the big thing I took away from it. But, yeah, I mean, HEB is a Texas brand, so, you know, shout out to the Cowboys for getting that one done.
All right. Oh, I know where I was going. Jerry, you remember Jerry doing that dancing commercial? That was a big one. And that was around that same time. Do you still think, I think Jerry and Steven love to kind of get it out there. Oh, we're still looking. We're still open for business. That seemed to be a recurring kind of thing. Now that they have Von Miller, I guess I kind of was curious about your initial thoughts on Von in his fit, because I don't think that may have just happened the other day when you were on the golf course and we got cut off because I think you were, you had a shot at a birdie and you had to go. I want to get your thoughts on Von, but also, like, where is the Nick Harris meter? Like, are you still like 80, 90% that they may not be done and they may do something very interesting, or is that too high on the Harris meter for what they might try to do and might try to add to this team?
Yeah, I'll start with Von Miller. I think, if you set your expectations right, then I think it's a good move. And the expectation should be, hey, he played 37% of snaps with Washington last year. You would expect it to be around the same going into this season. He's going to be your designated pass rusher, come in on passing downs, late downs, long downs, and just pin his ears back and go get after the quarterback. And, if he gets you 4 or 5 sacks, then it was worth it at the end of the day. I wouldn't expect to get the 9 that he had last year. But I think 4 or 5 is a healthy expectation. And then off the field, he's going to give you wisdom to the guys in that room, whether it be a Malachi Lawrence or Donovan Ezeraku. He was caught on the broadcast on Saturday night in Phoenix coaching up Malachi Lawrence and on the sideline. And so that's also the value you get in Von Miller. He praises himself on being, a first ballot Hall of Fame teammate. And I think we've already seen that in the first, week and a half he's been on the team. And that was a big reason why they signed him. They wanted that value of what he brings from his experience in the league going into his 15th year. Your second question about, if are they going to make a big move before the season begins? I'm leaning toward no. Okay. I think if they add to this team, which I actually do think they will add to this team, but I think it's going to be depth spots, whether it be an extra veteran tackle or an extra veteran corner, like a potentially a Taylor Decker and a Dory Jackson or a Kenny Moore, names like that. I don't think, if you're keeping a pulse on the Max Crosby situation, I don't think that's happening anytime soon, at least.
Okay. Yeah. I am taking a peek at that. The Milton story is so interesting from the guy who came out that, everybody could throw the football to the moon and could throw it like on his knees, 80 yards or whatever. He's gone from kind of a novelty act to a guy that now, and I thought that was interesting. I like stuff you write, Nick, because
thank you.
Some of it confirms, and maybe this is, I'm saying how much I like myself too, but no, but sometimes you write, I just like some of your approach, because the immediate thing I thought about was like, okay, like if Sam Howell is good enough to be a backup, and most people think that he is, like how much could Milton command? It was that same question I was asking the other day, and then Joe or you asked about Camden Brown. Well, what could Camden Brown make in college? What does LSU or Ole Miss or somebody pay him? But those are the thoughts that sort of come to mind with Milton and the way he's looked. Like how valuable, when you started kind of peeking around and talking to some of the powers that be in the evaluators in the NFL, how much has he shot up in their eyes, do you think?
So the best that Joe Milton, the absolute best that he could probably get on the trade market today would be a 4th round pick. And that would be in a very specific scenario where a quarterback desperate team needs somebody and wants somebody with tools and, is open to potentially having a low floor if it doesn't work out. Because Joe Milton, he still has only started one game in the regular season in his career, and it wasn't a meaningful game. And you have to balance that if you are going to trade for Joe Milton. And so I think at the absolute best, it would be a fourth. I think realistically, it'd be a fifth. That's why, I laid out in that article yesterday on the Star Telegram. It's like, okay, if that's the best he can get on the open market right now, hold on to him. You still have him another year under contract in 2027. And worst case scenario, and it's a great worst case to have, then you enact the Green Bay Packers Malik Willis plan of how they just developed him under Jordan Love for the last couple of years. He started some meaningful games when Love went down with a knee injury early in 2025. And he came in and is now going to give Green Bay a third-round compensatory pick by signing with the Miami Dolphins. And so, I think that's probably a more realistic scenario if things go great for Joe Milton on Friday and the next preseason. And then you have a really capable backup quarterback the rest of the way, too.
Yeah, Green Bay's only been doing that for about 30 years, by the way. It goes back to Matt Hasselbeck and then whoever they had, Aaron Brooks, who ends up with New Orleans. So it is interesting how some teams are able to do that. Take me inside this Star Telegram story going on at your newspaper. You hate it. You hate to see something like this. They have the beat writer, Stephen Johnson. They have pulled his credential, which obviously comes through the Star Telegram. He's going to go on and cover this game on Saturday in Ireland. And again, this probably makes it even more interesting of a trip and story because what if he has to, he may have to sit out in the stands to do it or whatever. They may pay for a ticket. Something tells me the TCU will back off of this, and he'll probably end up being in the press box and covering this game. But it's not they don't like how the story was reported and that the victim in this alleged attack in the locker room, receive some blowback or threats as a part of this reporting. But Nick, as we both know, even though Stephen didn't give up the name of the victim or anything like this, if there's an alleged attack, everybody in that locker room probably has heard. A lot of them probably saw it happen, knows who it is. And so I don't exactly understand here, like where TCU, what ground they think they're standing on. I thought that was interesting because I think you as a colleague got involved, and now the Star Telegram has had somebody else write a story on the website about this. Any movement on this story, Nick? And from what you can gather, what is TCU basing this on? Are they basically almost blaming these threats to the victim on the reporting by Stephen of this incident that took place in fall practice out there at TCU?
Yeah, I'll lay out the situation. So Jacob Fields, a safety transfer from Louisiana Tech, was involved in an altercation where he struck Dozie Ekunkama, wide receiver. He's originally from Keller, has been with the TCU program for a couple of years. And it happened in the locker room. A case filing was made with TCU campus police in the days after by the TCU football administration. And Stephen was able to not only get the report, but also get a source close to Fields talking about what led to the situation. And the situation basically laid out that Fields had been, a target of harassment and threats in the locker room by teammates over the course of a few weeks during fall camp. And that when the concerns were brought to the coaching staff, that the concerns were not really validated, and that it led to the situation where Fields struck the player. So Stephen took that information, took it to TCU, and was like, hey, do you want to comment on this? They declined to comment. So Stephen, verifying with other reputable sources close to Fields, was able to run that story with Fields' account. And TCU didn't like that. And it's strange that their reasoning for pulling the credential is because there were threats made to Dozie, when in reality, Stephen never mentioned Dozie's name. The first time that he did was after Dozie publicly put out on his Instagram that he was the victim in the assault. And so he credited that. And so that tells me a couple things. That tells me, one, TCU knows their grounds for pulling Stephen's credential is not valid. So they found another reasoning to pull his credential, not realizing that that reasoning was also invalid because he never reported on Dozie's name. And so, it's I certainly have more thoughts on this situation, but I'll be sure to stick to the facts on it. Yeah, Stephen has done a fantastic job on this story, fully encompassing both sides of the equation. And yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation from an administration that has certainly lost its glory days. I'll say that.
Man, I just can't even. I mean, part of me, I feel like there's a joke to be made about Gary Patterson, that Gary, if only Gary had have known he had this kind of power to pull the credentials of the Star-Telegram, he would have done it years ago.
What's crazy, Matt, and this is probably me theorizing, and I want to be sure to preface with that. There were probably times where Gary Patterson wanted to do that, but the football administration had a good head on their shoulders. Chris Del Conte, I mean, he built that athletic program into what it is today, coming out of the Mountain West into the Big 12. And yeah, it's unfortunate that, we're not looking at the same reality that TCU was 10 years ago.
Well, I'm hearing from people that covered SMU and some folks that used to be at the Dallas Morning News that worked with Sonny and his staff back then, that this is not completely out of character for his group. And some of the people around him, and in fact, the reporter I'm talking about, because he was tweeting about it today. Sam, what is it, Sam Bloom or Sam Blum? I mean, and what used to really kill him is he loved to take those photos of the crowd when there wasn't a big crowd, and he would tweet it out, and that really drove them nuts. But I think that's it. This is interesting on several fronts. People don't understand like how thin-skinned like these administrations can be. I mean, I've encountered it not and it's not even talking about TCU, but it's kind of amazing sometimes when you kind of think like you tweet something or whatever. And by the way, this happens at the NFL level, I'm sure. I mean, I can kind of remember, our buddy Clarence saying things that I'm sure you've said some things that the Cowboys don't like, but for the most part, the Cowboys, now only one time do I remember Mark Cuban and the Mavericks tried to deny access to Tim McMahon. And all they did was help create even more of the McMahon monster. I think he loved it, right? It's like, oh my God, I've been banned. I think he calls himself like Ban McMahon or something, so they always sort of think, oh man, this is a good thing to do. Oh, we'll get them back. And really what happens, and this is Mosley theorizing here, but they end up looking small in the end. They end up looking very weak when you're basically like, we've got somebody who follows us around the country. The Star-Telegram pays to have somebody there all the time to cover our stuff. And yet we don't like this story or how things have been portrayed, so we're going to rip the credential away. It's a weak. And again, I've had some dealings with the and maybe it's above his head, but the new football SID, and he seems fine, but it's not a good look. And the old SID, they ran him out of town. The guy that was there for like 25 or 30 years. So again, I know you want to stick to the facts. I don't know. I don't always have to do that, but
I'm just gonna shake my head.
That's right. By the way, I covered it at TCU game last year, and somebody showed up and took my credential and claimed to be Matt Mosley.
Wow.
And
you're popular.
And I think they, that crack staff over there turned him away, but they called me and they said, yeah, he said he's supposed to have the credential and that you'd given it to him, that I had forwarded. I'm like, what's this person's name? And they gave me the name. I'm like, I've never heard of that person. What I don't know is if he showed up wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, that would have been the dead giveaway. Your eyes could be like, they could be purple, and I would have no idea, Matt.
It freaks people out when I take them off. And so buddies like you who only know me like this, I have to keep them on. So anyway, all right, Nick, well, that's good. And I hope this thing works out. But again, the Ireland story will be even more interesting if they try to keep this up. You just hate to send somebody over. Now, if if the Star-Telegram decided, you know what, we're going to send Nick over there at the last minute. Now, not that you would agree to do this, but let's just say the Star-Telegram said, okay, sorry, you're mad at Steven, but we got to cover this game. We got to put somebody else on the beat for a week or until this thing sorts itself out. What do you think TCU would do? Now, and again, I'm not saying Star-Telegram would do this, but let's just say they did. Do you think TCU, would they go, okay, well, we'll let somebody else who, we approve of their reporting, that we'll let them cover the game? What do you think they would do?
From our understanding, the pulling the credential is a paper-wide thing, not just a Steven specific scenario. However, Steven's going to have ways to get what he needs to get on Saturday in Dublin. So he'll be situated one way or the other. And, there's a lot of people that are helping out the Fort Worth Star-Telegram these days. So I greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate it. So Steven's going to be good regardless, whether he has to sit in the stands or in the press box.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I like what you just said, because it's kind of like we've got people around the world. And I would love it if Steven did some kind of disguise.
The sunglasses. Can you ship them to him? Overnight it, Matt. We need them.
Oh man, the Wayfarers. I may send them over there. But all right, well, good. And I appreciate you jumping into that thing, and that was good to kind of get that word out. And it's it's a troubling kind of thing, but there's a lot of mistrust out there with the media. But when the media is trying to actually do its job and doing a good job, what I would hope is the rest of the media kind of comes to his aid. It's kind of like at the White House, it's kind of like, well, do we sit here and let the president rip these people and call these people names, or does somebody try to come to? I did like one time somebody tried to jump. I think Peter Ducey or somebody tried to come to the defense of a fellow reporter, and Trump looked at him and said, well, I don't like you either. It was like, well, okay, I tried.
That's the time we're in, Matt.
I tried to jump in and help you. Nick, I appreciate it and look forward to seeing you soon at a ball game.
Appreciate you, Matt. Thank you.
There he goes. Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. And he's that's good. Some good background material on what has led TCU to pull. This is a paper-wide deal. This is not just against Steven Johnson, apparently. They don't want the Star-Telegram covering them right now. All right, be careful what you wish for. I mean, it's the paper of record. It's the newspaper of record when it comes to Fort Worth, Texas, and quite honestly, Arlington and the mid-cities. How do I know? Because I did battle with that newspaper. All right, I was over at the now defunct Arlington Morning News, going to battle with the Star-Telegram for the city of Arlington and surrounding areas. I know what kind of stranglehold that place has over in that area. And that is complete. Again, I have not heard anything. And you say, well, Mosley, you're in the media, so, you're not going to side with TCU. Yeah, that's true. But I haven't heard anything where, like, I wish I could get somebody on from TCU, and maybe I'll try, that could explain to me, here is where we thought the reporting went wrong, and man, it put this player in peril, or here is why. But again, back in the day, the thought of pulling a place's credential was completely out of the realm. I mean, you just wouldn't even think of something like that. So this is really sort of ridiculous. All right, Kev, let's get ready. We're going to do something we call Campus Confidential. That is next.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
For anyone that's in the car buying mode or looking for a car right now or a truck, I would definitely come by Allen Samuels, get to know the people here like I have, how well I'm taking care of the dealership and how well, service and any kind of warranty issues or those sort of things. Because of the way they take care of me, it's made me a Ram driver. I said I don't think they'd want to go anywhere else if they came here.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Hey, Lee Riley Copier Dog here. Ready for an upgrade on a brand new Kia Sierra copier? Call CTWP. We'll find the perfect fit for your business. Stay local. Call CTWP before you sign. CTWP, your local copier company.
It's the 50th annual West Best presented by West Feeds this Labor Day weekend. Catch the West Best parade on Saturday, run the Kalachi 5K Sunday morning, cheer on the Horseshoe Tournament, or test your strengths in the Steinholding Contest. West Best, just 15 minutes north of Waco.
Summer isn't over yet. Make every last splash count at Waco Surf. Catch perfect waves, float the lazy river, or relax on the beach while the kids make unforgettable memories. Stay in their hotel or private cabins, or hook up with your RV. Located just 90 miles from Dallas and Austin, set on 450 acres in the heart of Texas, Waco Surf is unlike any other water park around. Before school starts, give your family one more epic adventure. WacoSurf.com. Book your stay today and catch a wave.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
Right in the heart of Waco, there's a place Texas pride meets world-class flavor. The Dancing Bear Pub, open 7 days a week, 4 to 11, and offering happy hour Tuesday through Friday, 4 to 6. Wednesday is trivia night, and Thursdays is $1 off Texas Pints. A great place to meet up with family, friends, or make new friends. Kick back and soak in the laid-back vibe that keeps Waco coming back for more. Located at 1117 Spade Avenue, Dancing Bear Pub in Waco, where great beer and good company come together.
Score big on your next ride during the Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Car. Score your biggest savings of the year right now on Buick. Get a 3-row 2026 Buick Enclave and save $8,500. Or non-GM owners can save $6,750 on all 2026 Buick Envisions in stock. Get here now or go online and save thousands on Buick at Richard Car. Find championship savings and win on your next deal at their Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Car.
At Richard Car, we give you more.
The Mosley Show, rolling through. Man, that's a fast hour. Good Cowboys guest. We're talking about the TCU controversy, just the administration has just pulled the credential for the Star Telegram. I mean, it's just these newspapers are probably not quite as powerful as they used to be, but the Star Telegram in Fort Worth is still a big dang deal. And if you're TCU and that's your primary, that's the biggest amount of coverage you receive. And I get it, the 247s and all the stuff and the frogkillers.com and the frog lovers and Frog Channel and Fear Frog Factor and stuff like our buddy Stephen Simcox. Yes, they're all out there. Jeremy Clark does a nice job, but again, a lot of those are like TCU former students or kind of fans covering the team, in terms of hardcore, unbiased coverage. You know, that's what kind of the Star Telegram has been for. Now, have the Star Telegram had beat writers that probably took it a little easier on the Frogs than others? You bet. You bet. But this guy was simply doing his job. And now he has had his credential pulled. I would imagine some of the conversations that are taking place as we speak will allow Steven Johnson to cover this game, and they'll talk it out. But I do think, and I loved having Sonny on recently, and I like the new SID over there. I do. I don't. Again, this may not have been his decision at all, but you do end up looking extremely weak. Woo! Wow. You look as soft as a marshmallow when you start pulling newspapers' credentials over, oh, we didn't like the coverage. We didn't like that. Now, if this was some kind of serious, oh my gosh, what did he do? Oh, the victim, they gave up the name of but again, this is an incident that happened in the locker room. You don't think most of the team and coaches knew about this? Obviously, one of the players claims to have. Now, they may not like how the story seemed kind of one-sided, but the guy that wrote the story, Steven Johnson, didn't put the victim's name in the paper or on their website. Golly. I would imagine the full authority of Hearst or whoever owns, used to be Cox, wasn't it? No, Knight Ritter or whatever. Whoever owns the Star Telegram these days, the full right arm of the law will come down upon the TCU administration. Boy, if you had done something like this back in the day to Dave Smith over at the Dallas Morning News or Bob Yates, the former sports editors over there, boom, boom, boom. I mean, they would have been cracking. They would have been tearing down some things. All right. You don't do this kind of stuff to that sports department. All right. And hopefully Tommy Maggs would be over there doing the same thing. The Red Raider himself, just cracking the deal. All right. In the name of journalism. Kev, let's do some Campus Confidential. Yesterday you kind of had me excited about something. You teased like a list or something you kind of had my attention on. Yep. Man, I'm so worked up, Kevin, with that interview, and I'm sweating through my shirt.
Oh my!
And part of that is, Kevin, the home studio. I'm trying to kind of save some money, and I'm not up here only to do the show. It's the only time I'm up here, and so I sometimes will turn up the air a little bit, and then I get up here during the show, and I'm just like, but it's good. Maybe I'll lose weight. Maybe it'll help me lose weight. Kevin, don't you think I'm looking a little thinner? Don't answer that, Kevin. All right, Kev, what do we have in Campus Confidential today?
All right, I have the list for you, but first we have to discuss the SEC presidents voted upon the potential penalties, and the score passed. It was 15-0.
16-0.
No. It was 15-0. What school do you think abstained from voting?
Wait, are you still talking about the SEC?
Yep.
It was reported that all 16. Are you saying they've changed that story?
The initial vote was 16-0, but while we've been on, they took a final vote. It was 15-0. What school do you think abstained from voting?
LSU abstained?
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So they have clarified that because the AD and president did not want to come across as undermining their own coaches, even though they've got crooked coaches, those two.
Well, if you have crooked coaches, weren't you the ones that hired them? So what does
Wow.
that say about you?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, but again, these schools they're desperate to win. Lane Kiffin was considered, about the best. You say a lot about him. He's very shady. Is he a great college football coach? I think he is. And so they were willing to pay any amount to bring him in. Now, Will Wade had already been there. They know he's as shady as it gets, and they still brought him back. So again, winning trumps ethics. Now, I would say I think people have been trying to lump Kim Mulkey into this, and Kevin, you can say whatever you want, and I know people can say a lot about Kim, and that's fine, okay? She doesn't need me defending her. But and again, there's always controversy because she's a lightning rod. But I don't recall her ever being hit for cheating or doing any of these things that obviously Will Wade was caught doing, or some of the ridiculous stuff that Lane Kiffin gets involved with. In fact, she's not even, unlike Lane, she has other people do her social media. She does not do social media. So again, lightning rod, I get it. And Kevin, again, if we have time later in Campus Confidential, I'll try to catch you up on some of the latest on that whole. That's been a bit of a story as well. The fact that she brought in a Russian player with one of her star players already being a Ukrainian player, and the Ukrainian player whose dad is like the director of drones in the Ukrainian army. He's out there dropping drones or whatever you do with a drone.
I think you drop something from a drone.
Drop something from the drone.
Yeah, I don't think they're kamikaze like they're just drones, so they cost too much money for that. But so we'll
by
get
the way,
to
I don't know about that. I bet there are drones that do drop and explode. I guarantee you that. Now, Walmart has some cool drones now that are like dropping the thing. They'll like drop the thing, and then it somehow the deal that your stuff comes in, it goes right back up to the drone. Like I really want to. I'm not
Amazon drones like buzzing all over the place.
I'm loving that stuff. I like a good drone, and I would like to see that happen. But I'm a Target guy. We do our pickups from Target, and so we kind of like those people, like the Target delivery people that come out to your car. Like we've kind of made friends with those folks. So I feel like I'd be cheating on them to get involved with Walmart. And then one time, Central Market. I don't want to lose HEB. I'm not going to tell that story.
All right.
Who knows? Maybe we want to land HEB at some point. Because we got HEBs in Waco. And I like HEB. But Central Market, I had some issues there. Okay, Kev.
Okay.
Where were we?
We'll talk more about the Russians and the Ukrainians in Baton Rouge in a second. But I don't want to get away from the list I promised you. So based on this list of returning quarterbacks according to their QBR, okay? These are quarterbacks returning to the school that they were last year. Why isn't Jaden Maeva getting way more attention? He's at the top of this list. And Julian Sand, Trinidad Chambliss, CJ Carr, and maybe even Darian Mensah getting more accolades and attention than the person at the top of this list. 91.2
Never
QBR.
would have guessed Dampier would be this high, by the way. And I'm fascinated with that guy. That we don't talk about that Auburn quarterback, but that guy coming from USF with his coach, that's kind of fascinating. Okay, those grab my attention. Now, to your point, I don't know. He plays for USC, plays for Lincoln. Lincoln certainly had his fair share of quarterbacks at OU, did a great job with them.
And
the
now you would
post
think
Stoops
better
years,
defense with Gary Patterson there.
if only Gary had known, he could have just banned the Star Telegram. All those years at TCU. I got to figure out how to write that joke. Most of my life, Kevin, is about like formulating Twitter jokes, but I haven't gotten like I got to get the right punch to that joke. But I think there's a joke there. Kev, it's a fair question by you. I don't know why Jaden, but here's what's going to happen. If he's that efficient again and he starts having some great games, and let's say they knock off somebody big in the Big Ten. Who do they play this year? Do they play Indiana again or not?
They do late in the season.
Okay. Let's say they get a couple of big wins fairly early, though, because doesn't USC have an interesting game early? I feel like they do.
Oregon, they play Oregon at home September 26th.
Okay.
And then the following week, they play Washington. And then they go to Penn State. So that's 3 games in a row right there.
He'll be fine. Don't worry about him, because what'll happen is the NFL people will fall in love with him if he gets off to another hot start. Now, I'll caution you, Kev. You know last year who was the top returning QBR leader in the CFB?
No. Inform me.
Sawyer Robertson from Baylor.
Oh, okay.
We were sort of talking as him as like a dark horse Heisman candidate last year. And for various reasons, he still had a fine year, but the defense was so awful. And so they were always having to come back. And then he had some games that wasn't that great. Quite honestly, I can't just all put it on the defense. But, what's funny is, Kevin, most Baylor fans pretty much blame, and of course Mac would get his fair share when things weren't going well in some of the different sports, but pretty much everything at Baylor right now that's any kind of negative is laid at the feet at the feet of one Dave Aranda. And I got to say,
even basketball last year?
Just everything. I think because see, basketball, as bad as that was, it was still close enough to winning a national title that there might have been some idiots that are like, oh, let's move on from Scott. But nobody in their right mind is doing that. Dave has had so many down seasons. Let's think about it, Kev. He's had, how many seasons have been disappointments for Dave Aranda? Well, I'll do the math for you. That would be 2020, his first year, but that's COVID, so we try to write that off. But 2022 was a disappointment because Baylor was, by some, picked to win the conference. 2023 was horrific. I will not count 2024 because they saved that season and came back that season and finished 8-4. The following season was from that was a 5-7 disappointment that they didn't build on a really nice bounce back season. And Dave was saved by the shenanigans of one Mac Rhodes. So I think I counted 4 real negative seasons out of he's going to his 7th season. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands it. He is the luckiest coach in all of the country. He's on the hottest of hot seats. That said, like I was watching that video of him that Baylor football put out of him going to hang out with his players on the first day of campus. Yeah. Like, other than maybe, I love Kalani Sitake. And part of that's personal because of the way he's treated me. But part of it's just I think he's an outstanding human being. But I think Dave's like the best guy in the conference. So I am not one of these Baylor people who can ever get caught up in rooting for Dave to fail. people have wanted him to fail because they want to change. Well, last year they got hit with a double whammy. He did fail, but they didn't get the change because of Mac. Crazy. But hey, Kevin, who else has this situation? Who else has a somewhat lame duck head coach, but a kind of a bad A offensive coordinator and a bad A defensive coordinator? I mean, Kev, when you come out there to work those pregame shows, I mean, if you choose to do that again, I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about. Like, on one hand, it's like Baylor probably not good. On one hand, I would not trade for many offensive coordinators in the Big 12. Maybe no one. Maybe I would trade Jake Spavital for no one in the conference, okay? You're like, oh, Matt, surely there's someone. I don't know. I think he's pretty good. Well, who would I trade Joe Klanderman for? Do you trade him for Texas Tech's defensive coordinator when they have freaking every blue blood 5-star transfer in the country? Is that just great personnel people and great money, or is that a great defensive coordinator? So here's Baylor, lame duck head coach, and 2 bad A defensive coordinators. All right, Kevin, not sure exactly how we got on that. What else do you have for us?
Let's talk about Ukraine and Russia. Not politically, but in sports pertaining to LSU.
I think, okay. Have I talked to Kim earlier today about some of this? Yes. So then the question is, what can I say about this? Kevin, I am looking into, I find there's a new fascinating aspect of this story. I'm looking, and Kevin, feel free, and our audience can do this too. Scotty B likes to play along, and several of our others. If you're on Twitter, sign up, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube page. And then we also need you to do all the other stuff. YouTube and Twitter Premium. We love having our Twitter Premium, but we mainly want you to go over to there's Scotty B. Okay. He thinks Kim Mulkey messed up. And maybe she did. Kim, and maybe she was a little naive about this. Kim thought, and she tried to talk to the player about it. And obviously the player's family or whatever got to her. But she decided, even though she had a Ukrainian who either started or played a lot of minutes for her last year. Kevin, the Ukrainian center had about 9 or 10 points, 9 rebounds. Okay. Then Kim had a chance to go recruit a 17-year-old Russian. Okay. One, Kevin, is from Belarus. Okay. One of them's dad, the Ukrainian, her dad is in the military and he's in charge of drones. And then Kevin,
Kate Koval.
Kate Koval.
That's the Ukrainian player. She
is from maybe Kiev. Just got to get all my Ukrainian cities correct. But she's from the Ukraine. So does she have bitterness toward Russia? Well, I mean, I don't know. The bombs. I mean, and by the way, who decided to start that war? Well, I mean, I know we're team Ukraine. I think our country continues. The president does seem to like that the strong arm dictator that is Putin over in Russia. Seems to admire him a little bit too much for a lot of people, and that's not some kind of political statement. I think people on both sides think, wait, why are we so friendly with Putin? But whatever. I think our country was behind Ukraine and was assisting to Ukraine. And then if you'll recall, Kevin, Zelensky, the head of Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, whatever the title would be, was he got a little crossways with the president at one point. And so anyway, we've had some kind of interesting things there. But Kevin, where I think Kim was a little bit naive, probably thought she made some comments a week or two ago that, hey, maybe this could help end the war. You could have a star player from Russia and a star player from Ukraine. Now, Kevin, those would make for interesting stories, and ESPN could talk about it, and if they became friends. But to just think that you could bring the Russian in and you already have the Ukrainian and that everything was just going to magically work, it didn't happen.
Right.
The Ukrainian
Well, one thing that surely could happen is Kim Mulkey bring together the world in the swamp of Baton Rouge.
Well, stranger things have happened. Maybe here's what happened. Here's what really happened. I think in this case, maybe her heart was in the right place, and she thought. But here's also where her heart is, and she wouldn't mind me sharing this. She thought this would be kind of a neat story, and Kevin, this Russian is incredible. And then I saw somebody from USA Today, Kevin, today saying, we don't believe that anybody from LSU has actually put eyes on her, seen her in person. Kevin, do you think that every foreign player that comes over here, that all the coaches from every university has always been over there? I mean, sometimes you take chances on people you haven't met in person or seen play in person. Kevin, she's playing in some of these big time Russian leagues or FIBA, or maybe FIBA didn't even let them play, but whatever footage they had, Kevin. I mean, there was a time when even the Frenchman, we didn't know that much about him. The great Frenchman yes. There was a time we didn't all know what Wemby looked like. And we just heard rumors of this. Oh my gosh, you cannot believe what the Frenchman is doing. And then in time, we're like, oh my gosh, this guy may be. But in those early days, Kevin, we were just seeing footage, weird foreign footage of Wemby at age 16 or 17. And you're like, oh my gosh. Well, it's probably, I'm not saying she's Wemby, but it's probably a little bit of what this 6'5" Russian's like. It's like, good gosh.
Anna Maneva.
She's passing. She can shoot. She's got great hands. She's got great feet. We want her. Now, Kevin, why would you risk a nice Ukrainian player leaving by bringing in a Russian? I think I brought this up yesterday. Why is the only reason you would do that? That you would take this kind of a risk?
Because you think that the younger player is better.
Yes. And you think she's probably way better. You don't do this.
And that would be a risk that you would have to take. It is
that is a risk Kim was willing to take. Now, we need to take a peek, Kevin, at this agent for Kate, Miss Kate, the Ukrainian, because would it be a bit strange? And maybe not. Maybe the answer is no. Would it be a bit strange to say sayonara, or whatever you say in Russian? I'm out of here. I do not want to play with because I think that's fine that she's made that thing. And Kim gave a nice statement and said how great of a person she is. I thought Kim handled that fairly well. But Kevin, Boris Karabin, I think it's Karebin, And Kevin, I'm sure you've looked him up by now as well. But I was looking on his Instagram and everything. He's been a scout for the Timberwolves. He's an international agent. I mean, this man's been around. I think the man is based right here in our country. But Kevin, where did the man train? Right there in Moscow. Right there. And it looks like, from what I can tell, Kevin, the man is from Russia. And that's okay. Kevin, everybody who's Russian that played in tennis and we like blackballed them and like wouldn't let them play in tournaments and stuff for a while, I thought that was stupid. They're not. Those Russian tennis players aren't they're not sending tanks into Kiev. They're not trying to kill people. They're not declaring war on Ukraine. Kevin, how long has that war been going on now? 2022. Yep. 2022. We still got those flags up. Hey, car dealerships, we still got the flags up. Are we still Team Ukraine? I think we are. But much like anything, we kind of lose we kind of lose our energy for these wars. I mean, in the early days, Kevin, Ukraine, we're doing Ukrainian chants. Now it's like, wait, where's the flag? Do we still have those Ukraine flags up? Kevin, how's this thing going with Iran? Okay, here we are, America. We knocked them out. We dropped all the bombs. They're wiped out. Really? Really? Did we wipe them out? Okay. Did we win that one? There's some history, Kevin, in this country of declaring victory a little bit too quickly. Right? Anybody? Yep. Mission accomplished? Anybody? Mm-hmm. So, and then what do we do now, Kevin? We all kind of move on as a country, right? Like, is anybody out there today like yes, I love this Iranian war. Like, nobody's saying that. Even the biggest backers of it, nobody's saying that. It's like, get us out of this thing. You know why, Kevin? Because when we go to the pumps, it's $3.75. It's $3.80 at the pump. Most of America says, get us out of this, no matter who you voted for.
You know what we need to say? We need to say, "Do svidaniya."
Goodbye?
Mm-hmm. In Russian.
Oh, good. Kevin, have you been to Russia?
I have not. Nope.
Where did you adopt from?
China. China twice in 2016. So.
Twice, 2 children.
2 different times in the same year. Yep.
Wow, Kevin, that was a busy year for you guys.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yep.
All right, Kevin. But you have not gone to Russia. I was hoping you could bring us some Russian, kind of give us some Russian background. Okay. Yeah. So, but what I was getting at is this. Would that be strange, Kevin, to have such a huge aversion to playing with a Russian, which I totally get, and I do not begrudge Kate, what did you say her name was? Koval. Koval. It's like Koval or something.
Yep.
Like, it's hard to begrudge her for doing that. But Kev, what if she's using a Russian agent? Is that different? Is that okay? I mean, like, doesn't that seem? That's kind of interesting.
Seems double agent to me. Seems like something out of a spy novel.
Double agent. The double agent. Kevin, who are the most famous spy novels from? You're writing about all that kind of stuff. Do you know who wrote all those? Jean Le Carre. Some people say Le Carre. It's like CARR apostrophe E. But he was a British intelligence officer, I believe, or a spy. But he ended up writing what are considered the greatest spy novels ever. Tinker Spy, whatever that one is. Tinker Tailor, make a movie out of it.
Yeah.
He's had some good
I was
ones.
thinking of Ian Fleming, who did 007.
No, that might be an easier read. I read a Le Carre, however you say it, Le Carre. Some people would say Le Carre. I read one of those novels about 6 months ago, Kev. Whoa. I felt like I needed to go back to some of my old English classes. Tom Hanks, not the actor, the old Baylor professor. Well, that was a great professor at Baylor. Tom Hanks. He was funny. That dude was a great professor. Baylor's English department, I don't know if I'm sure it's still good, but back in the day, and unfortunately they had a bit of a scandal at some point in the 90s, but man, I love that English department. All right, Kev, anything else?
You got to come back tomorrow to see Josh Pate in his version 2.0 of his CFP prediction. He changed it completely. Not completely, but has some interesting matchups in there.
Okay, I like that. And then Kevin, next, I'm gonna give you some of the highlights. ESPN has come up with its top 100 players in college football this season. How many Big 12 players made the list? That is next.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Westfest, presented by West Feeds this Labor Day weekend. Wade Bowen, live at the Sunday Night Shutdown Party with special guests, the Hoosier Brothers and Sonny Salceda. Westfest, just 15 minutes north of Waco.
You asked, we delivered. The new Butterfly iQ3. It's the answer in point-of-care ultrasound. With the sharpest image for easier, clear answers. Ready?
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to CentralTexasCattleBaronsBall.org.
Score big on your next ride during the Kickoff the Savings event at Richard Car. 2027 GMC Sierra trucks are coming, so all 2026 models are marked with game-winning savings at Richard Car. Find savings like $10,000 off a 2026 GMC Sierra SLE truck. Plus, well-qualified buyers get 2.9% financing for 72 months. Find championship savings and win on your next deal at their Kickoff the Savings event at Richard Car.
Richard Car, they have the truck for you.
Have you heard the latest about CTWP? Let me tell you. How about 2 cents for a color copy? Only Kia Sierra offers. Don't believe me? We were the copier dog? Grab your paperwork and let's compare. I guarantee CTWP has the best prices and service.
Summer isn't over yet. Make every last splash count at Waco Surf. Catch perfect waves, float the lazy river, or relax on the beach while the kids make unforgettable memories. Stay in their hotel or private cabins, or hook up with your RV. Located just 90 miles from Dallas and Austin, set on 450 acres in the heart of Texas, Waco Surf is unlike any other water park around. Before school starts, give your family one more epic adventure. WacoSurf.com. Book your stay today and catch a wave.
Right in the heart of Waco, there's a place Texas pride meets world-class flavor. The Dancing Bear Pub, open 7 days a week, 4 to 11, and offering happy hour Tuesday through Friday, 4 to 6. Wednesday is trivia night, and Thursdays is $1 off Texas Pints. A great place to meet up with family, friends, or make new friends. Kick back and soak in the laid-back vibe that keeps Waco coming back for more. Located at 1117 Spade Avenue, Dancing Bear Pub in Waco, where great beer and good company come together.
It is the Matt Mosley Show. And Kevin, I keep getting caught trying to make my little We may have some breaking news. Thanks, Scotty B. He's always watching. He and Kevin are both kind of my eyes and ears while I'm talking. But who do you say put that out there, Kevin? Is that Thamel? I just wanted to look. Oh, there it is. Okay, Kevin, hit the breaking news sounder. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate you, buddy. From about 20 minutes ago, Thomas Castellanos has committed to Texas Tech, he tells ESPN. He's a former quarterback at Florida State, BC, and UCF. Has 6,500, close to it, career passing yards and 48 passing touchdowns. He's also rushed for 24 touchdowns. He is from Russia? No, with love. No, that's another story. That's LSU. Thomas Castellanos. Kevin, I mean, isn't it funny how these guys go from I remember him at BC putting up some pretty big numbers, being thought of as oh, man, what a get for Florida State. I can't remember if he got hurt or exactly what happened. Florida State had a pathetic season last year, but Castellanos now goes to Texas Tech. So we'll find out pretty soon, won't we? All this talk about, hey, only reason we brought in Sorsby is because Will Hammond was hurt. We didn't know about Will's injury. They'll still, I think, publicly act like Will Hammond's their starter. But now Castellanos will get to campus, and they'll get this thing rolling as fast as they can. So big college football news. We knew it was headed this way, but now it becomes official that Thomas Castellanos has committed to Texas Tech. Wow. And I want to say if it was believed, Pete Nakos and some of those On3 people were first to say that a few days ago, that he might end up with Texas Tech. Very interesting deal. I'm looking at all the photos right now. And do we think, what does this mean? Does it mean Hammond may still not be totally right physically? Will Castellanos quickly become the starter? How hard will it be to get him up to speed? Always interesting how we can be sitting here in late August and you can just land a big-time quarterback. How big-time is he? I don't know. I don't know if he's that great. I mean, he certainly has put up numbers over the years. Kevin, let's look at his numbers real quick. He's 23 years old. And Kevin, if you can look, I'm going to look up some of his numbers at some of his previous spots. If you'll look up his QBR for me, and you can do that via ESPN. I just want to kind of see from past seasons. The guy has never been particularly that accurate. He had 2 full seasons. He had Boston College in 2023 and then 2025 with Florida State. I mean, they were horrible last year. 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions for Florida State last year. That is nothing that great. Now, again, could they surround him with a better defense and a run game and all that at Texas Tech? The answer is yes. Now, at Boston College, 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions back in 2023. The guy will throw it to the other team. These are not great. His best quarterback rating was at Boston College his junior season, and he only played in 8 games that year. He had 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 2024. So he must have taken over. He must have gotten hurt or something that season because his numbers were really good that season, but he just didn't play in a lot of games. That he was having his best year that year. Kevin, that said, in those 2 full seasons I'm talking about, he was under 60% completion rate. That used to be okay back in the day to have like under 60%. It's not anymore. It's not okay. These really good quarterbacks like Dante and Julian Sayin and even Hoover and some of these others, they all have 65 or above. All right, they're not sitting around there with 58% completion percentage. So, do I think he is an upgrade over Will Hammond? Maybe. Does he have more experience than Will Hammond? Yes. Is it great experience? I just told you the numbers. The numbers are not that great. The numbers are not that great for Thomas Castellanos. So there is your there is that news. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Scotty B, for staying on top of that. Now, on our other story, Kevin, from earlier that we had our buddy on, we had Nick Harris talking about Stephen Johnson, who's going to cover the Frogs in Ireland, who has had his credential pulled by the Star-Telegram for the reporting on that story of a fight in the locker room. Sounded like not much of a fight. Sounded like a sucker punch to me. But reported that deal, and they have revoked the Star-Telegram's credential. Stephen Johnson says, boarding the flight now. I just want to say I appreciate all the support and those reaching out. It means a lot. As for the situation, I don't have much to say aside from I look forward to continue covering TCU and believe the Frogs have a chance to be pretty good this year. Interesting. All right. And by the way, on that Castellanos thing, going to Tech, Naco says Castellanos will arrive at Texas Tech as Will Hammond's backup. Well, I should hope so. I should hope that on his first day on campus, they don't just hand him the gig. Here you go, buddy. We appreciate you. Now, what's interesting is there was always the possibility that Hammond might not be totally full go for the first game. So could they have to get Castellanos ready for that first game? Kevin, who is Texas Tech playing in that first game? I know they have Oregon State, I believe, on the schedule. Texas Tech football schedule. Let's take a peek, Kevin. I think their first game will be on the September 5th, much like Baylor's. And, Kevin, they're hosting ACU. Big Bad Abilene Christian comes to town. Now be careful there. Be careful. ACU almost beat Texas Tech a few years ago. Now, that was before all the big money came pouring in. But a kid who had played at Tech and transferred to ACU played in that game. That would have been McIver's son. I think that was Rick McIver's son. Anyway, playing out there, Maverick McIver, I think, was that kid at ACU. And he dang near led them to an upset over Texas Tech. I think it came down to literally going for it for two at the end of the game, didn't get it. They lost to Texas Tech, but they almost beat them. That's a 6 p.m. start out there in Lubbock, Saturday, September 5th. Castellanos, welcome to town. And the villains that are Texas Tech, here they come. Here comes their revenge tour, and they have brought in another player to help them. What was he doing all this time? Where was Castellanos? What has Castellanos been doing? Just sitting around? I mean, he had fall practice. Was he trying to get on with an NFL team? I'd kind of like to see what he's been up to. course, then I put that in, Kevin, and it gives me the baseball Castellanos. That's Nick. Kevin, what has Thomas Castellanos been doing? Let's see if we can get to the bottom of that.
Hopefully for Texas Tech's sake, he hasn't been on FanDuel.
I guess he's just been waiting on that court ruling. It says committed to play his 5th year of college football with the Red Raiders following a recent court ruling that granted him an extra year of eligibility. Oh, okay. A court in Kentucky granted an injunction allowing, yeah. Okay, all right. That's that legal injunction coming out of Kentucky where he gets to play. All right. It's again, I don't know that he was that great. I told you the numbers. Now, again, it's like Hoover. Somebody said, well, Hoover threw all those interceptions. What's Signetti say at Indiana? Well, he didn't have our running game. He didn't have our defense around him. Fair point. Texas Tech, I can tell you a couple things about Texas Tech this year. Their linebackers may be better than last year's. They're stacked at linebacker. Their D-line's going to be stacked because they brought in incredible people in the portal. So their front seven's going to be a monster. Well, that's nice to have. Good defense. They do have a really fine running back returning. Texas Tech does. Can't think of his name right now off the top of my head, but he's one of the best backs in the Big 12. The best back in the Big 12 plays for BYU. I think his name is LJ Johnson. LJ something. LJ Smith. Anyway, good player from BYU. And Texas Tech's fine at wide receiver. Again, there's
LJ Martin.
LJ Martin. Yep. Knew it was an LJ. Oh, Kev. I mean, there's a lot. There was a lot. I mean, some days, Kevin, we just roll out of bed and we just go, okay, what's happening? And today the answer was a ton. And let's remind everybody that, one more thing is that, Kevin, the NFL owners did approve the Seahawks sell to the Chrysler Group. That's Khosla. Khosla. Okay, I'll learn how to say that.
I believe it's Khosla.
Okay. I'd like to have some of that with my seafood today, some coleslaw. All right, Kevin. I'm sorry, that was bad. $9.612 billion sale of the Seahawks. Kevin, will this be a flip? It's going to be like the guy got the Lakers, just flipped it about a year. No, that guy's up for fraud and all kinds of stuff. All right. That guy looks like a crook. For what we know, the Khoslas, it's a good bunch. It's a good group, good folks. Kevin, do we know anything about the Khoslas? No, we do not. We don't. I'm just saying. I think the Khoslas are more above board. But again, you never know about these owners. One was allegedly, trying to pay for sex for $160 after in a trailer park in Ohio the other day. All right, just woke up that morning. He'd already tried to answer that ad twice, and they didn't call back. Kevin, if you don't get called back by an ad and you're a billionaire owner, maybe move on to whatever's next in life. All right? And then that morning, it was a sting operation. Somebody responded to him, posing as a prostitute, and he pulls over, and he's looking around in there in that trailer park over there at the Wheat Hill Estates or whatever it was called in Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio. And he's looking for the deal. Well, they gave him a fake lot. They gave him a fake lie. Well, what they did, the police, God, y'all, poor this, they're minding their own business over at that Mobile home park. And they use them as the fictitious meetup spot. Well, then he's like, I can't find this. So he pulls out on the road, and then they nab him. And they take his phone. And they take his $160. Now, Kevin, what is this going to cost York? Well, money, not much. I don't even think the NFL ever fined, Kraft, because those charges got dropped, and he was trying to, he was going into a parlor on a day of a game, and the NFL, they did nothing to him. Meanwhile, boy, they tried to do some stuff to Belichick for some of his cheating, and they tried to do some stuff to Tom Brady for some of his cheating, alleged cheating, proven cheating. And what do they do to the owners? They do not love hitting owners. Because why? Well, because Goodell reports to those guys. They are in charge of voting on his salary. That's who he reports to, are these owners. Bring the hammer on Jed York for being over there in a trailer park trying to have sex for $160.
Do you want more information on Vinod Khosla?
Does he go to trailer parks?
I don't believe so. He co-founded Sun Microsystems, and then has his own venture capitalist business now.
That sounds like a business I'd like to be involved with.
And if you ask me, I'm a little surprised that this sale was as low as it is. I expected it to be $10 billion or more.
What was the last NFL team to sell?
Oh,
what did they just say what did they just say the valuation for the Cowboys was?
15.5.
And they got 9 something.
Yeah. Coming off of a Super Bowl year. Because the information that I had been hearing was this was basically a street sale, that this was going to be the highest bidder it was basically a street sale for billionaires, and whoever could be the highest bidder was going to get it. That's why I'm surprised the price didn't drive up a little bit more.
Well, I mean, isn't that all sales? I mean, you're going to give the highest bidder unless they're just like have no.
Instead of it being kind of a little bit of a prearranged thing, the family knew they were selling, and so basically all these billionaires could come out of the woodwork. A lot of times there is some talks and ahead of time, and it's a little bit more organized than this seemed.
Well, this was the Allen estate. I imagine it was Paul Allen's sister who decided. And so the Allen estate ends up with I think they'll be okay with $9.6 billion.
The Commanders were the last team.
6.05.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just saw that. 6.05 billion for the Commanders.
And the Broncos were the year before that with 4.65. So if you follow the trend, I guess this makes sense that 3 years after the last sale, it's gone up more than $3 billion.
Our buddy Khosla, he has a net worth of $13.8 billion. He joined the 49ers ownership group in 2025, buying 3.1% of the team at a more than $8.5 billion valuation. All right. Good stuff today. Man, we've had a good show. We've enjoyed it. We just put them out there, do what we can. Thank you, Kev. Good work, strong work. We're getting closer to football season. We love you guys. Thank you. Go over to YouTube and do those things you do. Subscribe on YouTube. That helps us, all right? I mean, I see that there are thousands of you on Twitter every day, and we appreciate that. But I really need to convert those numbers. Does that do anything for me? Not really. But I think it helps our show somehow. So that's good. That's what we care about. We don't care about me personally. I mean, I wish you did, though. I wish y'all cared more. All right. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Rogue Media. It's the Mosley Show. Good night.
Score big on your next ride during the Kick Off the Savings event at Richard Car. Score your biggest savings of the year right now on Buick. Get a 3-row 2026 Buick Enclave and save $8,500. Or non-GM owners can save $6,750 on all 2026 Buick Envisions in stock. Get here now or go online and save thousands on Buick at Richard Car. Find championship savings and win on your next deal at their Kick Off the Savings event at Richard Car.
At Richard Car, we give you more.
Westfest, presented by West Feeds this Labor Day weekend. Wade Bowen, live at the Sunday night shutdown party with special guests, the Hoosier Brothers and Sonny Salceda. Westfest, just 15 minutes north of Waco.
Summer isn't over yet. Make every last splash count at Waco Surf. Catch perfect waves, float the lazy river, or relax on the beach while the kids make unforgettable memories. Stay in their hotel or private cabins, or hook up with your RV. Located just 90 miles from Dallas and Austin, set on 450 acres in the heart of Texas, Waco Surf is unlike any other water park around. Before school starts, give your family one more epic adventure. WacoSurf.com. Book your stay today and catch a wave.
David Willie here. I got a question for you. How do you know what kind of deal you're getting on your copier? If you really want to know, give me a call and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. CTWP, your only local copier company.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait, hold.
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none. Good job.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.